Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and it's yet again time for Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, the first Ask a Herbert Erpaderp of the year and the decade. I guess that's kind of exciting. I hope everybody had an excellent and safe New Year's Eve celebration and such. Mine was pretty good. I got to spend time with some very good people, and I drank some goose beer, which I chose because I enjoyed Untitled Goose Game. I am a sensible man who is good at choosing beer. Anyway, let's get to the questions. Skeletor said, "Did O spot the banana?" I don't know if that's meant to be an I or a U, or an O, and shared an image I shared of a kit that I was working on. I mean, it's hard to miss it. That's my banana pen. It's in the background of a lot of stuff, though not deliberately. I'm just too lazy to tidy the desk. Trekan Belovich said, "Have you watched The Great Dictator or Blackadder Goes Forth?" I know I haven't seen The Great Dictator, and I'm pretty sure I have seen Blackadder Goes Forth, but I don't really remember it at all. That sort of thing was quite often on TV when I was growing up, so I'm not sure it really counts as seeing it. Maybe I should watch both of them, though the list of stuff I should watch is pretty long. Maybe one day I'll get to it. Martin Gotham said, "Which model would you rebuild?" I don't have much interest in rebuilding any of my models. Assuming you mean somehow taking it apart and doing it again. I think that would be kind of silly. There are a couple of kits I would rather enjoy building again, and there are a lot that I would have no problem in putting together again, but unless I really need to build that kit again, I'm not going to. Unless it's for a wargaming army where I need another one of whatever it is, I don't really see much point. I guess I would be more likely if it's a model I haven't done a video about already, but I've made a video of just about everything I've built over the last however many years. If I have to choose between building something I can get a stream or two out of and then a video, versus something that would involve me either doing no video or doing one that I've already done, I'll always take the first choice. Mantis said, "What's been the most useful purchase for model making? Or what's been the most necessary? Can't be the model itself." I guess if I can't say the model, which is necessary for building a model, I would say appropriate glue and a good knife. Those are pretty obvious too, though I do think one of the best purchases is a box of blades for the knife. It's not too expensive and they'll last a good long time. If you've got a big box full of them, you don't feel a need to ration them or whatever. Switching your blade every so often so that you've got a nice sharp one is a good idea. Also, if you happen to cut yourself, you'll be thankful that it's a nice sharp blade. Also lights. They don't have to be fancy or anything, but having multiple lights, preferably ones that you can move, is something that I would recommend to everybody. It does seem like very basic stuff, but the basic stuff is important. I mean, what's the point in getting some fancy tool if you can't see to use it properly? Ratto said, "How was your Christmas? Was your New Year a Happy New Year? Did you make any New Year's promises?" And I'll include Head of Secret Science Boy's question here too because, well, it's pretty much the same. Which is, did you enjoy your New Year? Both were pretty good, and rather quiet, which is how I would prefer it. I definitely had more fun on New Year's, which was just a quiet night with some good friends, including my favourite person in the world. We didn't even realise it was midnight until 10 or 15 minutes later. We were probably too busy talking about nerd things, I guess. And there weren't any fireworks in the area to give it away, which I think is a good thing, especially considering all the fires around the place. I didn't make any promises or resolutions. I know I'm not very good at keeping them, so I don't bother. Instead, I just have a basic thing, I guess, which is to have a better year than last year. Also, as I probably said somewhere else, to stream more. Another question from Ratto. Which is quieter? Ninjas or Santa's elves? Probably ninjas. Santa's elves are always singing and being noisy when you see them in movies, or at least movies that I can remember. Though to be fair, I don't exactly remember the last movie I saw with Santa's elves. Also, ninjas are always quiet and never sing or do anything except stealthy ninja things, as far as I understand. Unless they're the turtle variety, I guess. Anyway, ninjas. Sodium Chloride said, "Do you have experience or planning to do BF-109 from Zvezda in 1/48th scale? It's not very popular around the world, but it's one of the best models available." I don't have any experience or plans to build that, and I don't plan on buying any new models for a short while, having just topped up my stash quite a bit. I do need to sometimes be responsible with my money. Let's see how long that lasts. Maybe if I see it, I'll pick it up. Sylvester stuff is usually a pretty good price. I'm not a huge plane builder though, so if I do pick one up, it won't be built for a while. The local history guy said, "Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?" About all I know is where the meme, if you can really call it a meme, comes from. Where something is ironic. He could save others from the thing, but not himself. Also, as a side note, you don't need to keep asking the same question. Normally I ignore it when that happens. Digital Rocket said, "If you could remake any of your videos you've made so far with the skills and knowledge you have today, would you? And if so, which videos would you remake?" I don't think I would. I mean, I guess there might be some value in repeating something and having it be more updated, but I don't really feel much interest in the idea. I can't even think of any videos I've done that I would want to redo, though I guess probably one of the earliest ones. That would make the most sense. To be fair, I'm the sort of person who makes a video and then moves on right away. I don't put a whole lot of thought into past videos and quite often forget that I've even done videos about some models, but that's mostly because my brain doesn't work very well. Martin Gotham said, "Thoughts on German Haunebu, if I'm saying that right, World War II era flying saucer project, and will you ever build one?" I think it's an interesting idea. I do enjoy flying saucers and spaceships and things like that, though I don't think such a thing ever existed. Apparently some people do. I don't have any plans to build one, but I might eventually. I think I've actually got one on my Amazon wishlist, so I guess if anybody really wants me to build it, they can buy it, but eventually I'll probably buy it myself and build it. But I wouldn't hold your breath. A duck drinking cough syrup said, "Do pretzels make you thirsty?" I guess it depends on what you mean by thirsty, but I'm just going to assume you mean the desire for liquid refreshment, and not the other one. I don't know, I don't really eat pretzels enough to notice. Also, I guess, do you mean the big fancy pretzels or the small ones you get in a bag? I would assume they're at least a little bit thirst-provoking. Trekan Beluvic said, "Do you have any specific modelling or painting or gaming projects that you want to do in 2020? Absolutely." Nothing I absolutely feel like I must do. I mean, I change my mind fairly frequently, so the things I want to do right now might change. I do want to get my Soviet infantry for bolt action completed, and I also plan to start working on the VK4502 again. And I certainly want to get some more bolt action games filmed, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it if I don't. Musei said, "Is there a certain vehicle you wish was more commonly available and manufactured more often by model companies?" I guess the top two that immediately come to mind are the TOG-2 and the AC-1 Sentinel. There are more, but those are the first two that jump to my mind. I'm a sucker for rare and odd tanks, which either due to nobody knowing about them or them only seeing limited or no use, are very unlikely to be made in plastic. I mean, I understand why a lot of companies aren't interested in doing uncommon models, but it would be nice if they did them instead of another Sherman or Tiger. Not that I dislike Shermans and Tigers, of course. Martin Gotham said, "What happened to the Tamiya BF109E3 in 1/48th scale?" Nothing, it's sitting on a shelf waiting until such a time as I feel like painting it. I'm not in a rush to do so at the moment, and there are other things that I'm more excited to paint. That's the case for pretty much every model I've built. I do seem to have to explain this every so often, and I really don't know why people don't seem to understand, but painting takes time. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, and time is finite. I try to spend my time as well as I can, but sometimes it's really hard to balance the things I need to do and the things I want to do. I do like painting, but it would be irresponsible to spend all of my time painting if I even wanted to do that, which I don't. So it gets done when it gets done. There's a lot of things that I want to do with my time, and not all of them are related to models. Major General Bunk said, "I haven't used eBay before, but is it a good way to get models, especially old ones, or should I avoid it?" To be fair, I haven't used eBay for a long while, and in my opinion it used to be a lot better. Now it just seems to be companies selling stuff, especially cheap knockoff companies. Originally it wasn't like that. I guess it's a bit like Amazon though. It's not the worst place to buy models from, but be careful. You might not be getting the best deal. In some cases, it might be the only place to get something, especially if it's old, but it might cost a lot. But then out-of-print old things do often cost more anyway. At any rate, I don't see any harm in browsing. Maybe if you see something that you like, it may be worth seeing if it's available elsewhere for a better price. I mean, that's pretty good advice for buying anything from anywhere, really. Some people will just say no, never use eBay or Amazon, and to be fair, they are both big evil corporations, and it is probably a better idea to try and find things from a local hobby shop, if you've got one, but eBay and Amazon can be good places to buy models if you're careful. Amateur Hobbyist said, "Where do you get your models from in Australia? You seem to have a nice collection." We're pretty lucky around here to have a good selection of hobby shops. There are 5 that I can think of that I could get to in under an hour, and they're all pretty decent. My wallet is in danger when I go to any one of them. I do also order stuff online, mostly wargaming stuff because it's less often in stock in hobby shops around here, though one of them does have a pretty big stack of artillery 28mm stuff. I also, quite infrequently, use Amazon. I mostly use that when I'm given those prepaid gift credit cards as gifts. They're a bit of a pain in the arse to use all of the money from them because you can't add extra money. The solution I've found is to just buy an Amazon gift card for myself for the full value that's on the card. Then you can spend slightly more money than is on the card and you can get what you want. Of course, as I said before, you do have to be careful with Amazon because some things on there are way overpriced. Sneaky Zaku said, "Do you have any more plans for kit bashing models like the post-apocalypse Beetle in the future?" It was fun to watch that video and see the thought process of just making stuff up as you go along. Yes, I've got a truck kit that I'm planning on doing another post-apocalypse build with. I have been putting it off for a while, and one of the reasons was that it was going to be a bit of a task to go through my bits box and find stuff I wanted to use on it. I have since bought some different boxes to be used as bits boxes and sorted them out a little bit, so it should be easier to go through and find some fun parts to use for it. I'm debating whether or not to do it on stream, and I think I probably will. It is something I want to start on this year, probably sooner than later. Of course, the problem with this is that some people can't tell the difference between I am thinking of doing and I'm absolutely going to do. I might change my mind and decide to build the kit up as a plain old truck, which would be cool too. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to be all that upset by the people whining about, "You said you were going to do a post-apocalypse build!" Ah! The reality is I probably will do the post-apocalypse build anyway. Bumpkin said, "Have you done the American T-28 Doom Turtle model?" If you're referring to a specific model, then no, I haven't. But then I haven't done any Doom Turtle models. It's definitely something I would like to do though. It's an interesting vehicle. I'm not sure who makes one and in what scale, I haven't really looked. But maybe one day I'll do one. The Crazy Crafter said, "I have just bought the Band of Brothers box set. Where do you think I should advance from there?" I guess it depends on what you like. I feel like more infantry for both sides, or maybe the one that you plan to play the most, is probably a pretty sound choice. If it were me though, and I didn't already have any tanks, I would get tanks for either side. Or again, if you're only planning on using one side, just get a tank for that army. A Panzer IV or Sherman seem like the most sensible choices. Skeletor said, "Can I build another BF-109 in 1/32nd scale?" Sure, you can do what you want, you don't need my permission. The Crazy Crafter said, "When will the next group build be?" I don't know, soon? Maybe by the time this video is up it'll already have started. I don't run the group build because I don't have a lot of interest in doing them, which is why I very rarely participate. In fact, I think I've only done so once. Major General Bunk would be the person to ask, or you could check the pinned messages on Discord. Mr. M said, "Can you show your collection? And what are your favourite tanks?" I think the first question came up very recently and the answer is still the same, but I guess I'll repeat. It would take a lot of time and effort to gather up all of my models, find somewhere nice to film them, do that, then put together the video. I don't think I'll get much out of that effort, and it doesn't seem like something a lot of people would really get anything helpful out of either, so I'm not especially interested in the idea when I can use the time to do something more productive. I also get asked what my favourite tanks are a lot too, and as usual I'm not much into picking arbitrary favourites, but I do like tanks like the Cromwell, Centurion, KV-2, Tiger and T-34. I also really enjoy odd or rare tanks. A duck drinking cough syrup said, "What does your family say about the amount of models you buy?" Nothing really, they probably aren't even aware. They don't really see them, and I don't think they watch my videos very often at all. It doesn't really matter what they say or think anyway. I'm an adult and I can do as I please. Also, if by family you mean a wife and kids, I don't have those. Having children sounds awful, and would definitely reduce my hobby time and budget. Why would I do that to myself? In the comment section of last fortnight's Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, Yan Tima said, "Can you do a painting stream on Twitch? I wish you a good 2020. Thank you, I hope your 2020 is amazing. I have been thinking about doing painting streams on Twitch, and I will probably do one or two soon, but I think I'll also associate a Patreon goal with it before it ever becomes a regular thing. I'm not going to be painting a tank, for example, from start to finish, because that's just not going to fit in a single stream for me, especially since it would be a massive pain in the arse to go from airbrushing to brush painting. I would have to move a bunch of stuff around, and I'm not especially interested in making things harder and take more effort. I will likely paint infantry figures on stream though. Doing that might actually motivate me to work on them. My other concerns are mostly around people coming in and being annoying backseat painters. Probably not really going to be an issue, and that is what timeout and ban functions are for. Anyway, at this stage it's a solid maybe. Garth MacDonald, in relation to my comments about not liking gin much, said, "Try a Dutch gin, very different." I will try and keep that in mind. It's probably not going to come up anytime soon. I don't think I know anybody that drinks gin, though I do know at least one Dutch person. I'm not actually going to go and buy some Dutch gin because it seems like a waste of money if I don't like it, and I really don't like to keep bottles of booze around because they can be a huge temptation, and I much prefer myself sober. That said, I'm usually keen to try new things and I'm happy to have my ideas changed. If I see Dutch gin on offer sometime, I'll try it. And that's it for the questions this fortnight. Thank you to everybody who asked a question. Normally we would go and check out some of the models from the community, but I just couldn't be bothered and time is really limited this week. A lot of my time has been spent doing other things like some sort of New Year thing and socializing with humans that I like. Not a bad way to spend time if I'm honest. I'm sure most of you understand, and those that don't can just deal with it, I guess. The models will return next fortnight. In the meantime, if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe, follow, ring the bell, become a YouTube member or patron, and all of the other things you do on YouTube and social media. Links to all of my things are in the description below. And as always, I shall return soon. So until then, be excellent to each other, and thanks for watching. Farewell.